Growth is a daily discipline, not a one-time decision. Too many people believe that success, greatness, and transformation come from one powerful moment, one single choice, or one breakthrough event. But the truth is, growth doesn't happen in the spotlight. It happens in the quiet, unseen hours when no one's watching. Growth is forged in the small, consistent actions you take day after day. It's the habit of showing up for yourself, even when you don't feel like it. It's about doing the work not because it's easy or exciting, but because it's necessary for the person you are becoming. The world is full of people who made the decision to change once, but never followed through. They decided they wanted to lose weight, start a business, write a book, become confident, or live differently, but they stopped when things got hard. That's because deciding to grow is only the starting point. The real transformation begins when you commit to the discipline that follows that decision. Discipline is the bridge between your goals and your reality. It's the grind, the repetition, the unseen consistency that turns your vision into results. Every single day you must choose to grow again. Growth is not glamorous. It's often uncomfortable. It demands that you stretch beyond what feels familiar. It requires humility because to grow, you must admit you don't have all the answers. It takes patience because growth is slow. It tests your faith because sometimes you'll work for weeks, months, or even years before you see any visible progress. And it takes courage because growth means letting go of old versions of yourself. But that's what separates those who talk about change from those who actually change. Think about the seed buried underground. No one can see it. It's surrounded by darkness, pressure, and dirt, but it's growing roots. It's preparing for life above the surface. That seed doesn't complain about the darkness. It uses it. In the same way, your growth might not be visible right now, but it's happening beneath the surface. The challenges, the failures, the rejections, they're all part of your growth process. You may not feel successful today, but you're developing resilience, strength, and understanding that will sustain you later. Every step, even the painful ones, counts toward your evolution. The danger of believing that growth is a one-time decision is that it creates false expectations. It makes you think that motivation alone will carry you. But motivation fades, passion fades, even confidence fades when life gets tough. That's when discipline steps in. Discipline doesn't care how you feel. It doesn't depend on excitement or inspiration. Discipline says, I'll do what I need to do even when I don't feel like doing it. That's what growth demands: showing up, doing the work, learning from mistakes, and repeating that process every single day. The people who rise to greatness understand this truth. They know growth is a lifestyle. They wake up every morning with the mindset of a student eager to learn, willing to fail, and hungry to improve. They study, they listen, they adjust. They don't run from challenges, they embrace them. They know that each challenge is an invitation to expand, to get sharper, stronger, and wiser. Every day they train their minds, their emotions, and their habits to align with the life they want. You can't develop yourself if you only work on yourself when life feels comfortable. Growth happens when you push through resistance. It happens when you show up tired, when you face doubt, when you keep going after being told no. It's in those moments that your character is built. Because growth is not about what you get. It's about who you become. And every day you practice discipline, you're building a stronger, more capable version of yourself. Most people want to grow fast, but sustainable growth is built slow. It's built in the small habits: reading a few pages every day, waking up early, choosing gratitude instead of complaining, speaking positively about yourself, setting goals and reviewing them. These small actions may seem insignificant in the moment, but they compound over time. They build momentum, and one day you'll look back and realize you've become a completely different person, not because of one decision, but because of thousands of small ones. Growth doesn't require perfection. It requires progress. You'll stumble, you'll fail, you'll fall short. But each setback is an opportunity to learn something new about yourself. You'll discover what drives you, what limits you, and what truly matters to you. Every mistake becomes a lesson, and every lesson becomes a building block. Growth is not about avoiding failure. It's about turning failure into fuel. It's about transforming frustration into focus and pain into purpose. When you understand that growth is a daily discipline, you stop chasing shortcuts. You stop waiting for luck, for motivation, for someone else to believe in you. You start realizing that the power has always been within you. Every day is a new chance to take one step forward, no matter how small that step may be. You don't need to run. You just need to move. Even crawling forward is progress when you refuse to go back. There will be days when you question yourself, when you doubt whether your effort is worth it. You'll see others succeeding faster, living easier, looking happier. But remember, comparison is a distraction. Your path is unique. Your pace is personal. What matters is that you are becoming better than you were yesterday. Growth is not about competing with others. It's about completing yourself. Every morning you wake up is another opportunity to build your future. You can choose to repeat yesterday or rewrite it. You can stay the same or you can stretch yourself. You can let your circumstances define you, or you can let your discipline refine you. The person you want to become won't appear overnight. They're being built day by day through your choices, your habits, and your mindset. Growth is about commitment to the long game. It's about staying consistent when the excitement wears off. It's about understanding that real transformation happens in the details, in your thoughts, your words, your actions. Every time you choose growth over comfort, you're rewriting your story. Every time you choose effort over excuses, you're shaping your destiny. Every time you choose to discipline yourself, you're strengthening your foundation for success. The most powerful thing about growth is that it compounds silently. You may not notice it today or tomorrow, but one day you'll wake up and realize how far you've come. You'll notice how much calmer you've become under pressure, how much clearer your thinking is, how much stronger your confidence feels. You'll realize that you've been becoming the person you once dreamed of being, not through sudden change, but through daily dedication. So when life feels slow, when progress seems invisible, when you feel stuck or tired, remind yourself that this is part of the process. Growth doesn't shout. It whispers through repetition, effort, and patience. Every sunrise gives you another chance to keep growing. Every mistake gives you another chance to learn. Every obstacle gives you another chance to rise. That's the truth most people overlook. Growth isn't an event, it's an evolution. You don't arrive at your best self in one day. You build that person day by day. The discipline to keep showing up, to keep learning, to keep improving even when no one notices, that's what transforms your life. And once you embrace that, nothing can stop you from becoming everything you were meant to be. Small steps every day build unstoppable momentum. Too often we wait for the perfect time, the perfect plan, or the perfect burst of motivation before we start moving toward our dreams. But the truth is, perfection never arrives. Life will always be messy, unpredictable, and full of distractions. If you keep waiting for ideal conditions, you'll spend your whole life standing still. Progress is not made in leaps and bounds. It's made in inches, in the quiet consistency of daily effort. Every small step you take compounds over time, turning motion into momentum and momentum into mastery. The most powerful changes in life don't come from massive action taken once in a while, but from small actions repeated consistently over time. The power of daily effort lies in its ability to transform habits, rewire thinking, and create patterns of excellence. It's not about doing everything in one day. It's about doing something every day. A single drop of water may seem insignificant, but over time it can carve through stone. That's the power of small steps. They seem minor in the moment, but they shape your destiny in the long run. Every great achievement you admire began with a simple step. The greatest athletes started with basic drills. The most successful entrepreneurs began with a single idea. The most inspiring leaders once struggled with fear and doubt. What separates them from those who never move forward is their decision to take consistent, small actions even when progress felt invisible. They didn't wait to feel ready. They started where they were, with what they had, and they built momentum from there. Momentum is a powerful force. Once it's built, it becomes harder to stop than to start. But it doesn't appear overnight. It's earned through persistence. Every time you take a small step forward, you reinforce your belief that growth is possible. You teach your mind that effort leads to progress. The moment you begin, you shift the energy of your life from stagnation to movement. And once movement starts, it feeds itself. The small steps you take create confidence, and that confidence fuels the next step. Many people underestimate the power of compounding effort. They quit because they don't see immediate results. But real transformation doesn't happen in a day. It happens through countless small victories that seem invisible at first. You might not notice your body changing after one workout, your mindset shifting after one book, or your confidence growing after one small act of courage. But keep doing it day after day, and suddenly everything changes. The mirror starts reflecting a stronger version of you, not just physically, but mentally and emotionally. Taking small steps every day requires patience. It requires faith in the process, especially when progress feels painfully slow. You must trust that the invisible work you're doing today will pay off tomorrow. Success doesn't reward speed. It rewards consistency. It rewards those who keep showing up, who keep giving their best even when results don't come right away. Every step forward, no matter how small, brings you closer to where you want to be. The only real failure is stopping. The reason so many dreams die is that people give up too soon. They sprint at the beginning, expecting quick results, and when they don't see them, they lose heart. But the race toward greatness is not a sprint, it's a marathon. The key is not speed, but endurance. If you can keep taking small steps forward when others stop, you'll go further than you ever imagined. You don't need to have it all figured out. You just need to keep moving. Think about a plane taking off. It uses the most energy just to get off the ground. Once it's in the air, momentum takes over. The same principle applies to life. The first few steps are the hardest because they go against your comfort zone, your fears, your old habits. But once you break through that initial resistance, you start to feel momentum building. Things that once felt impossible start to feel natural. Tasks that once drained you become part of your rhythm. That's when you realize that small steps, done consistently, are more powerful than bursts of inspiration that fade away. Small steps are not glamorous. No one celebrates the early mornings, the quiet nights of study, the small sacrifices, or the moments of self-discipline when no one's watching. But those are the steps that build character. Those are the steps that create champions. You don't need to make massive changes overnight. You just need to commit to being a little better today than you were yesterday. Improvement doesn't happen in explosions, it happens in accumulation. Every small step adds up. Every time you choose discipline over distraction, you build momentum. Every time you push yourself when you'd rather rest, you strengthen your resolve. Every time you take action instead of making excuses, you gain control over your destiny. You can't control how fast the results come, but you can control your effort, your consistency, and your mindset. And when those align, momentum becomes inevitable. Momentum creates its own energy. The more you move, the easier it becomes to keep moving. The mind and body thrive on progress. When you start seeing even the smallest signs of improvement, your motivation grows. Suddenly, you don't need to force yourself to act you want to. The vision of who you're becoming pulls you forward. That's how momentum transforms you from someone who tries to someone who achieves. But the opposite is also true. When you stop taking small steps, you lose momentum. Stagnation creeps in, and soon you find yourself overwhelmed by the very thing you could have conquered one step at a time. The mountain of your dreams doesn't seem so high when you climb it steadily. It only feels impossible when you stand still, staring at the peak instead of taking the next step. You don't have to climb it in a day, you just have to keep climbing. Consistency beats intensity because consistency builds trust not just in others, but in yourself. When you follow through on small commitments daily, you start believing in your own word. That self-trust becomes a foundation for confidence. You begin to see yourself as reliable, capable, and strong. And once that belief takes root, there's nothing you can't do. Small steps build not just results, but identity. You start to see yourself as someone who finishes what they start. No great empire was built overnight. Every masterpiece began with a single stroke. Every success story was once a series of small, often unnoticed efforts. It's easy to look at someone's success and assume they made a giant leap. But behind every leap are thousands of quiet, deliberate steps. The power lies in those ordinary moments, those choices made when no one is cheering, when no one is watching, when it's just you and your determination. So, take the small steps. Wake up and give your best, even if it feels like nothing is changing. Read the page, write the paragraph, lift the weight, make the call, take the risk, practice the skill. Each small action moves you closer to mastery. Over time, these small wins stack up, creating a momentum that's unstoppable. You don't need to rush the process, you just need to trust it. Because one day, all those small steps will add up, and you'll realize you didn't just build momentum, you built yourself. Consistency beats intensity when it comes to self-development. Most people think transformation is about doing something extraordinary once, pushing themselves to the limit for a short burst of time, and then waiting for results to magically appear. But growth doesn't work that way. The ones who truly evolve, who truly master their craft and themselves, are not those who burn the brightest for a day. They're the ones who keep burning steadily, day after day. Intensity may give you quick results, but consistency builds lasting change. It's the difference between a spark and a fire that never dies. Consistency means showing up even when you don't feel like it. It's about doing the work not when it's convenient, but when it's necessary. It's waking up early when your bed feels warm and comfortable. It's staying focused when distractions are screaming for your attention. It's pushing through the ordinary, repetitive parts of growth that no one talks about because those are the moments that shape your strength. Intensity might make you look good for a moment, but consistency makes you great for a lifetime. Think about the gym. Someone can train intensely for a week, pushing their body to exhaustion, sweating, lifting heavy, feeling unstoppable, but if they stop after that week, all that effort fades away. Another person may train lightly, maybe just 30 minutes a day, but they do it every single day. Months later, it's not the one who trained with intensity who's transformed. It's the one who stayed consistent. The same is true for every area of life, business, relationships, mindset, habits. The small, steady steps done repeatedly are what create mastery. Consistency builds trust not just with others, but with yourself. Every time you follow through on your word, every time you do what you said you would do, you strengthen your self-respect. You begin to believe in your own discipline. You stop waiting for motivation because you know you can depend on your habits. That's what consistency does. It frees you from the limits of your emotions. You stop being a victim of your moods and become a master of your actions. Intensity feels exciting, but it's not sustainable. You can't live your entire life in a constant state of extreme effort. The body, the mind, and the spirit all need rhythm, not chaos. Consistency creates rhythm, a balance between effort and recovery, between pushing and pausing. It keeps you grounded, focused, and prepared. It turns your goals from wishes into systems, and systems are what carry you forward when motivation disappears. Consistency is quiet. It doesn't make noise. It doesn't demand attention. It works silently behind the scenes, building your foundation brick by brick. Most people don't notice it because it's not dramatic. There's no applause for showing up every day. There's no spotlight for practicing patience, discipline, and repetition. But that's where true development happens, not in the grand gestures, but in the small routines you repeat every single day. The power of consistency lies in its invisibility. When you commit to being consistent, you remove the pressure of being perfect. You stop trying to do everything at once and start doing something well over time. You don't need to run a marathon tomorrow. You just need to run today. You don't need to master a skill overnight. You just need to practice it today. Over time, those small repetitions become effortless. They become part of who you are. You evolve not through occasional bursts of intensity, but through steady alignment with your purpose. People often quit not because they're weak, but because they chase intensity. They start too fast, aim too high too soon, and when they don't see quick results, they burn out. But the consistent person understands that growth is a long game. They know progress is slow and sometimes invisible, but they trust that every action compounds. They don't measure success in days or weeks. They measure it in habits formed, lessons learned, and character built. Consistency builds momentum. When you repeat a behavior long enough, it starts to move on its own. You no longer have to force yourself. It becomes natural. Your energy shifts from trying to doing. Your mind begins to expect excellence from itself. You no longer rely on inspiration. You rely on rhythm. That's why consistency beats intensity, because consistency doesn't depend on how you feel. It depends on your commitment. There's a difference between being motivated and being disciplined. Motivation comes and goes. Discipline stays. Intensity thrives on motivation, but consistency is rooted in discipline. It's about understanding that growth doesn't care about your mood. The world rewards the ones who show up no matter what. When you're consistent, you separate yourself from the crowd, because most people only work hard when they feel inspired. But success belongs to those who work hard even when they don't. The secret to mastery in any field is not passion alone, it's persistence. You can have passion for a moment, but without consistency, passion fades. Think about musicians who practice scales for hours every day, athletes who train the same movements thousands of times, writers who fill page after page, whether the words flow easily or not. They don't rely on passion, they rely on practice. Passion might start the journey, but consistency keeps it alive. Consistency also builds resilience. When you show up every day, you get used to challenges. You stop being afraid of setbacks because you've faced them before. You develop patience, endurance, and adaptability. You realize that success is not a straight line, it's a series of loops, setbacks, and climbs. But your consistency keeps you anchored. It reminds you that progress isn't about avoiding failure, it's about refusing to stop after it. Intensity creates noise, consistency creates legacy. People remember those who endure, not those who explode and disappear. It's the person who keeps walking long after the crowd stops clapping, who finishes the race. Consistency teaches humility because it forces you to focus on progress rather than perfection. It's not about being the best overnight. It's about being better every night. You don't have to do everything, you just have to keep doing something. There's a rhythm to success, and that rhythm is built on daily effort. You can't cram personal growth like an exam. You can't binge on self-improvement one day and expect lasting change. You have to water your growth daily, even when it feels like nothing is happening. The same way a plant doesn't grow faster because you stare at it. Your progress doesn't always show immediately, but with consistency, growth is inevitable. When you're consistent, the world starts to respond differently to you. Opportunities appear because people trust reliability. They see that you follow through, that you deliver, that you don't quit halfway. You become someone others can depend on, and more importantly, someone you can depend on. Your word gains power. Your effort gains value. Your life gains direction. Consistency builds credibility, and credibility builds doors that intensity alone can't open. The truth is, consistency is hard, it's not glamorous, and it's not exciting. It's repetitive, it can feel boring, it demands patience when your ego wants results now, but that's what makes it powerful because so few people are willing to do it. Most chase excitement, few chase endurance, most crave attention, few crave mastery, but the ones who choose consistency over intensity are the ones who rise slowly, steadily, unshakably. You don't need to outwork everyone in one day, you just need to outlast them over many days. The person who trains every day will surpass the one who trains furiously once a week. The person who reads a few pages daily will know more than the one who reads an entire book once and forgets it. The person who improves 1% each day becomes 37 times better in a year. That's the math of consistency. That's the compound effect of steady effort. It's not about grand gestures. It's about quiet persistence. It's about showing up again and again, no matter how you feel. It's about doing what needs to be done, even when it doesn't feel extraordinary. Because in the end, greatness is not built in moments of intensity, it's built in moments of consistency. Comfort zones kill potential faster than failure ever will. People often believe that staying safe, avoiding risk, and choosing the easy path will protect them from pain. But what it really does is quietly suffocate their growth. Comfort feels good in the moment, but it comes with a cost. It steals ambition, limits creativity, and numbs the hunger that drives human excellence. Failure may sting for a moment, but comfort kills slowly, silently, and permanently. You can recover from failure, you can learn from rejection, you can rebuild after loss, but once you settle into comfort, you start to forget what it feels like to grow. Comfort zones are invisible prisons. They trick you into thinking you're in control, but in truth, they control you. They keep you where you are, surrounded by the familiar, by habits that don't challenge you, by people who don't stretch you, by routines that demand nothing new. They whisper that you're safe, that you're fine, that you don't need to change. But the truth is, everything that makes life meaningful, growth, learning, transformation, greatness exists just beyond the borders of that comfort. Comfort doesn't expand your world, it shrinks it. When you live in comfort for too long, you stop asking questions. You stop chasing possibilities. You stop imagining what you could become. You convince yourself that you're doing fine, even when deep down you feel something is missing. You start mistaking contentment for complacency. That's the danger of comfort. It doesn't destroy you suddenly. It erodes you quietly. You begin to settle for less, think smaller, and move slower until one day you look back and realize how much potential you left unused. Failure, on the other hand, is one of life's greatest teachers. It exposes your limits and forces you to expand them. It humbles you, strengthens you, and teaches you what comfort never can. Every time you fail, you discover something about yourself, your resilience, your creativity, your courage. You learn how to adapt, how to think differently, how to persevere. Failure pushes you into growth, while comfort traps you in stagnation. That's why failure, as painful as it can be, is far less dangerous than comfort. Think about every person who has achieved something extraordinary. None of them did it by staying comfortable. They stepped into fear, into uncertainty, into the unknown. They faced ridicule, setbacks, and doubt, but they kept moving because they understood that discomfort is the price of progress. Growth always demands that you stretch yourself beyond what feels easy. The stronger your desire to grow, the more you'll have to let go of comfort. The two cannot coexist. Comfort zones give the illusion of safety, but there's no true safety in stagnation. The world keeps moving, evolving, shifting. When you stop growing, the world doesn't wait for you to catch up. You fall behind not just in success, but in self-awareness, in creativity, in purpose. You become stuck in patterns that no longer serve you. You start repeating the same days, thinking the same thoughts, and feeling the same frustrations, wondering why nothing changes. Nothing changes because you don't. Every time you choose comfort over challenge, you choose short-term ease over long-term strength. You rob yourself of the lessons that come from struggle. You deny yourself the joy that comes from overcoming something difficult. You protect yourself from failure, but also from fulfillment. Because fulfillment doesn't come from doing what's easy, it comes from doing what's meaningful. And meaning always demands effort, risk, and discomfort. Discomfort is the birthplace of growth. It's the space where you discover your power. Every breakthrough you've ever had came after a period of discomfort. The first time you spoke in public, the first time you stood up for yourself, the first time you took a risk on something uncertain. Each of those moments stretched you, frightened you, and ultimately grew you. The pain of discomfort is temporary, but the growth it creates lasts forever. When you avoid discomfort, you avoid evolution. You stay in the same job because it's familiar, even though it drains you. You stay in the same habits because they're easy, even though they hold you back. You stay around the same people because they accept your comfort, not your potential. But the moment you decide to step out, to stretch yourself, you activate something powerful inside you, a hunger to grow, to improve, to become more. That hunger is the fuel of transformation. Growth demands that you leave behind the identity that feels safe. Every time you level up in life, you have to let go of a version of yourself that's no longer serving you. That process is uncomfortable because your mind clings to familiarity. It wants to keep you in patterns it understands. But those patterns are exactly what's keeping you small. If you want to become more, you have to be willing to feel uncertain, to risk being uncomfortable, to face the fear of the unknown. That's where true power begins. Comfort feels easy, but it breeds weakness. The more you avoid discomfort, the more fragile you become. You start fearing things that shouldn't scare you: rejection, criticism, failure, effort. You lose your tolerance for struggle. And when life inevitably tests you, you find yourself unprepared. Discomfort, on the other hand, builds strength. It trains your mind and body to adapt, to endure, to stay calm under pressure. It prepares you for challenges before they arrive. The person who embraces discomfort becomes unshakable. Comfort also limits creativity. When you're too comfortable, you stop exploring. You stop asking, what if? You stop innovating because innovation requires uncertainty. It requires curiosity, experimentation, and sometimes failure. The greatest ideas, the boldest art, the most groundbreaking discoveries, all of them were born in discomfort. Comfort kills creativity because it kills curiosity. It tells you there's nothing left to discover when, in truth, there's always more. Every time you step outside your comfort zone, you expand it. What once felt terrifying eventually becomes natural. The first time you speak to a crowd, your hands shake. The second time, you breathe easier. The 10th time, you inspire others. That's the power of growth. Discomfort transforms into confidence when you face it repeatedly. The more you challenge yourself, the more you redefine what's possible for you. Comfort also attracts mediocrity. When you choose to stay comfortable, you surround yourself with others who do the same. You start hearing things like "be realistic," "don't overdo it," or "it's fine the way it is." But fine is the enemy of great. The people who truly grow surround themselves with others who push them, who challenge them to stretch, to improve, to keep evolving. You can't grow in an environment that protects your comfort more than your potential. Stepping out of your comfort zone doesn't mean you have to make massive leaps every day. It starts with small decisions, speaking when you're afraid, learning something new, taking responsibility instead of blaming circumstances, saying yes to opportunities even when you feel unready. Each of those moments strengthens your courage muscle. Over time, those small acts of bravery build unstoppable momentum. There's a voice inside everyone that whispers for more meaning, more purpose, more potential. But that voice gets quieter the longer you stay in comfort. Comfort dulls that inner voice until one day it becomes silent, and you start existing instead of living. You go through the motions but stop feeling alive. The antidote to that numbness is discomfort, to do the things that scare you, to step into the unknown, to challenge yourself in ways that reignite that voice inside. Comfort zones are designed to protect you from pain, but they also protect you from progress. You can't have both safety and success. You have to choose. Every great story begins with a moment of discomfort, when someone decides to leave the known for the unknown, to risk failure for the chance at growth. Comfort will always be there, waiting to pull you back, but once you taste the growth that comes from stepping beyond it, you'll realize how much more you're capable of becoming. Who you become matters more than what you achieve. The world often measures success by external results: the money you make, the position you hold, the awards on your shelf, or the applause you receive. But real success is not about accumulation. It's about transformation. It's not what you get from your journey that defines you, but who you become because of it. Achievements fade, trophies collect dust, recognition disappears, but the person you become through the process, your strength, your character, your wisdom, stays with you forever. Every goal you chase, every challenge you face, every obstacle you overcome is shaping you into someone different. Sometimes the pursuit of achievement blinds people to the deeper purpose of growth. They become so focused on reaching the destination that they forget the journey is where true development happens. You can reach a goal and still feel empty if you haven't evolved along the way. Because fulfillment doesn't come from what you've done, it comes from who you are becoming while doing it. When life pushes you, it's not trying to destroy you, it's trying to develop you. Every setback is sculpting your resilience. Every disappointment is sharpening your patience. Every failure is refining your strength. The process molds your character long before it delivers your success. The greatest reward of chasing a dream is not the dream itself, but the person you must grow into to achieve it. That's why two people can achieve the same thing, but experience it completely differently. One feels complete, the other feels lost. The difference lies in their growth, not their results. Achievements are temporary milestones, but personal evolution is eternal. You can lose everything: the job, the money, the title, but no one can take away the mindset, the discipline, the wisdom you built along the way. That's why who you become matters more. When your sense of worth depends only on what you achieve, you become fragile. You start chasing validation, approval, and recognition. But when your sense of worth is rooted in who you're becoming, you become unshakable. You no longer need the world to applaud you, because you've already proven your value to yourself. The journey of becoming is where you discover your true power. The struggles, the setbacks, the long nights of doubt, all of them are shaping the foundation of your future self. You can't fake maturity. You can't shortcut wisdom. You earn it through experience, through pain, through persistence. Every time life challenges you, you're being invited to grow stronger, wiser, and more self-aware. You're being refined into the person capable of handling the success you're asking for. There are people who achieve great things but feel lost because they built their lives around goals, not growth. They reach the top of the mountain only to realize they climbed the wrong one. They chased status but neglected purpose. They won externally but lost internally. That's why it's so important to focus on becoming, not just achieving. When you grow as a person, success becomes a byproduct, not the goal. You attract better things because you've become better yourself. Becoming is about transformation. It's about shedding old versions of yourself. Every season of growth requires you to release something, an old belief, a fear, a habit, or a mindset that no longer serves you. Growth is uncomfortable because it demands change, and change demands sacrifice. But that's the price of becoming. You can't step into your next chapter while holding on to your last one. Each phase of life calls for a new version of you, one built with stronger values, clearer vision, and deeper understanding. You may not always get what you want, but you'll always get what you're prepared for. That preparation happens in the becoming. The process of developing yourself, learning discipline, managing your emotions, controlling your thoughts, building focus, all of these things prepare you for the responsibilities that come with achievement. Many people want the rewards of success, but few are willing to become the person capable of handling it. The prize is never given to those who simply want it. It's given to those who have become ready for it. When you shift your focus from achieving to becoming, your entire perspective changes. You stop rushing. You stop comparing. You stop defining your worth by external standards. You begin to appreciate the process even when it's hard, because you understand that every experience is shaping your inner strength. The storms stop feeling like punishments and start feeling like preparation. The obstacles stop feeling like setbacks and start feeling like steps. You begin to realize that growth is internal before it's external. You can't build a strong life with a weak foundation. You can't lead others if you haven't learned to lead yourself. You can't create peace around you if you haven't found peace within. That's why who you become matters more than what you achieve, because who you are shapes everything you touch. Your energy, your perspective, your choices, your relationships, all of them reflect your level of growth. The most powerful people in the world are not those with the most achievements, but those who have mastered themselves. They've learned how to control their emotions, how to respond to challenges, how to remain calm under pressure, how to stay grounded when others lose direction. Their success flows from their character, not their circumstances. They understand that becoming is a lifelong journey. You never arrive. You keep evolving, refining, and expanding. Sometimes life will strip away your achievements to remind you of your essence. You might lose something you worked hard for, a job, a dream, a relationship, and it may hurt deeply. But in those moments, you discover what can't be taken away: your faith, your resilience, your identity. Those are the qualities that define who you've become. And when you rebuild stronger, because now you're building from the inside out, not the outside in. Becoming also means aligning your actions with your values. It means doing the right thing even when it costs you. It means staying true to your purpose even when the world tells you to take shortcuts. The process of becoming tests your integrity. It challenges your patience. It reveals your character, And that's why it's more valuable than any trophy, because integrity can't be bought and character can't be faked. They can only be built one decision at a time. You can achieve success through effort, but you sustain it through character. There are countless examples of people who reached the top only to fall because they lacked the inner foundation to stay there. When your achievements grow faster than your character, your success collapses under its own weight. But when your character grows faster than your success, you become unstoppable. Who you are will always protect what you build. The pursuit of becoming also brings peace. When you're obsessed with achievement, you live in constant comparison, always measuring yourself against others. But when you focus on becoming, the competition disappears. You're no longer trying to outdo others. You're trying to outgrow yourself. You stop chasing validation and start chasing evolution. The journey becomes personal. Every day becomes an opportunity to become wiser, kinder, stronger, more disciplined, more compassionate. Becoming is about depth, not display. It's about building substance, not just success. The world doesn't need more people who have achieved great things. It needs more people who have become great human beings. People who act with integrity, lead with empathy, and inspire others through their example. Every act of growth you commit to, every time you choose humility over pride, effort over comfort, kindness over ego, you become a little more of who you were meant to be. What you achieve might get you noticed, but who you become will make you remembered. Achievements can open doors, but character keeps them open. Skills can earn you opportunities, but wisdom sustains them. The journey of becoming is lifelong. It doesn't end when you reach a milestone. It continues, deepens, and expands with every challenge.